7 to 18. Today we'll be reading through verses 15 and 16. Verse 15. Pros dokontos de tu lau kai dialogizomenon panton en tais cardiais auton peri tu ioanu me pote autos ho Christos. All right, so first things first, we look for the verbs. For being quite a long verse, this only really has one proper verb, which is which is an interesting one because it's an optative. So it's 2 steps removed from the reality that is the indicative mood. So this is a present optative active, third singular form of Amy. So meaning he could be, all right. And then if we go ahead and go through the rest of the verse, we actually have 2 participles at the start here. We have prostokontos and we have dialogizomenon. And both of these are genitives. And this forms sort of a large genitive absolute. So it sits away from the rest of the verse, and it sort of gives us the sort of context for what's happening. So prostokontos is a present active participle, masculine genitive singular of pros dokao, and this means sort of like expecting. I'm going to go ahead and translate it as while waiting expectantly. Okay, and who's waiting expectantly? We're going to go ahead and not translate the day here because it's sort of just a conjunction that's telling us we have a new thought. Who's waiting expectantly? The tu lao, the people. While the people, and then I'd say were waiting expectantly, and then we have dialogizomenon, which is a present middle participle, and this one's a masculine genitive plural of dialogizomai. Hopefully you can spot dialogue in there. I'm going to translate this as pondering because the dialogue that's happening is in their hearts. So it's more of a thinking thing rather than a saying out loud thing. So I'm going to translate this as while pondering. And so who was pondering? All. While all were pondering. Okay, in their hearts. Peri tu Ioanu, about John. What were they pondering? Perhaps he could be O Christos, the Christ. Okay, and then verse 16, a rather long one. Epe krinato legon pasen ho Ioannes. Ego men hudati baptizo humas. Erkatai de ho iskuroteros mu hu uk emi ikanos lusai ton hemanta ton hupo dematon autu. Autos humas baptise en pneumati hagio kai puri. All right, so we have several verbs in this verse, starting with apokrinato, which is an aorist indicative deponent, third singular of apokrinomai. Um, he answered. And then we have baptizo, which is just a present indicative active first singular form of baptizo. It's the lexical form. I baptize, or possibly I am baptizing. And then we have erkatai, which is a present indicative middle third person singular of erkamai. He is coming. We have Amy here. Obviously, that's the lexical form. I am. And then we have one more at the end here, baptise, which is a future indicative form of baptizo. So he will baptize. Okay, let's go ahead and fill in the rest. So this first phrase, epikrinato legon pasin ho Ioannes. So we can see that the subject of our verb is actually John. So the ho helps us there to recognize that it's the subject. So John answered, and then we have legon, which is a present active participle. It's masculine nominative singular to match up with the subject. So he answered saying, and then we have passen, which is dative. So it's probably like he answered all of them saying. So John answered all of them saying. And then we have ego men hudati baptizo humas. So men is a word that's usually at the start of one phrase. It's a postpositive, so it's really the second word in. And then the next phrase will have a de in it. And it's kind of like on the one hand, but on the other hand. We usually won't translate it that way in English, though, because it's rather wordy just to set up the contrast. So what usually happens is we ignore the first one, we ignore the men, and then we put but for the de. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So this ego is just emphasizing the difference here. I baptize, humas is accusative, you. So I baptize you, and then we have hudati is dative. So with water, I mean, it could be with, it could be in. I baptize you with water, but he is coming. Who is coming? The one more powerful than me. So often those comparatives are put in the genitive case, as we can see here with the mu. So, but the one more powerful than me is coming. Who, so that's the relative, of whom I am not, so the uk negates the I am not hikanos, worthy. And then we have an aorist infinitive here of luo, which is often our paradigm verb. And now I'm writing luo. To untie. And then we have ton himanta, the strap. And that's accusative. And then we have a genitive plural here of, and then we also have an autu, his hudematon, sandals. I'm not worthy to untie the strap of his sandals. He, emphatic, he will baptize you, which is accusative. And then there's different schools of thought about what to do here with this preposition. What is the effect of the preposition here? In, by, or with. I'm just going to, for the sake of just being literal, put in here. In, he will baptize you in pneumati hagios, so in the Holy Spirit. And we can actually put that in front because in prepositions, the definite article can drop out. And fire. And you can see that you have an issue there with working out what exactly is this saying. What does this mean by being baptized in the Holy Spirit and fire? Do the two go together? Does the prepositional phrase end after Holy Spirit? Is it with fire? Is the whole thing with the Holy Spirit and with fire? Is it, is there a reason why we don't have an N here in Hudati? I'm not really sure. So I've just translated it literally. You can go ahead and read through some commentaries, see what the discussion's about, make a decision from there. Let's go ahead and have a look at my translation. While the people were waiting expectantly, and all were pondering in their hearts about John, perhaps he could be the Christ, John answered them all, saying, I baptize you with water, but one more powerful than me is coming, of whom I am not worthy to untie the strap of his sandals. He will baptize you in the Holy Spirit and fire.